Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen, the channel that brings you your team every single day, all for the grand price of absolutely nothing. All you got to do is hit the sub, ring the notification bell, and you will never miss out on any of the content. Now, Rangers don't play till tomorrow against St Mirren up in Paisley, and you know what? It's interesting, isn't it? There seems to be a real lack of confidence amongst the fan base that we can go up there and get anything. I think, given the way that the team is currently playing it, we really are a club that is in a kind of state of flux and a state of crisis at this moment in time. Not knowing, I think, where the next 3 points is going to come from and not knowing what to do for the best. It was a dire performance in midweek against Aris Limassol. I had a great tale in terms of putting the whole thing into perspective. Aris Limassol sold their captain during the off season to Motherwell, and he can't even get a game for Motherwell. So that kind of, I don't know, sums it up a little bit. Maybe that's how bad Aris were and how bad that result really genuinely was on reflection. Just poor, absolutely poor. Now, look, what we're going to do in this video, we're talking obviously a little bit about the managerial candidates, some good news about managerial candidates, and some news about who they are and who they possibly are and what they could possibly bring to the club. A little bit of look ahead tomorrow's game, and what we'd like to see and what we'll probably see. Probably two very, very different things. Let's start with the managerial candidates. Now, great news. There was obviously a huge meltdown on X on Twitter, and I say I'm as guilty of it as anybody, as we all are as fans. We invest our time, our emotions, our everything in this club, and at times just recently they've really let us down. And the board, it seems, look, I've still got my doubts over this board in terms of their vision, in terms of the way that they're trusting them to take this club forward in the right direction on the field. I do think with the board, it's a lot of style, very little substance. They're very good at things like Edmiston House and the sports bars and the restaurants and that side of the business in the museum. The revenue streams from external, which is all needed and all. If we're going to catch up with Celtic, I tweeted out an alarming stat yesterday. That they made somewhere in the region of about 40 million, I think it was, in profit last year. We made 8.9 or 5.9 or something like that, and their turnover was far in excess of ours. That's what playing Champions League football means. At the end of the day, you play Champions League football, you vastly increase your revenue stream. And that's why when these fans came out and said, oh, we're better off in the Europa League, that's our level, it made me sick. It really did piss me off, if I'm being honest with you. It was very short-sighted. We need to be a Champions League club. We need to be playing Champions League football, because at the end of the day, if we're going to catch up with them in terms of playing staff and in terms of revenue streams, Champions League football is where it's at. At the end of the day, the Champions League pays you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times what the Europa League pays you, and we've given them again another massive financial head start for next season, given the fact that they are the only team in the Champions League and we're in the Europa League earning substantially less. I think it's 15 million we'll get, 50 million they'll get. I think at the end of the day, the vast sums difference in incomes is going to be something that holds this club back. Revenue streams, money. It's unfortunately that's what it's about in modern football. Yes, it should be about trophies. Yes, it should be about playing great football. But unfortunately, in the modern game, unless you can generate a whole lot of revenue, you are going to fall way, way behind. That is how modern football works. Sad, yes. Unfortunate, yes. And I know those things are true, but that's just the situation. And look, financially, as much as it pains me and I really hate saying it, we are light years behind them, and it's going to hurt us until we catch up in the long term. But look, we're going to obviously get into this last game tomorrow before the international break, still with Stephen Davis as interim manager. Fortunately, yesterday, that as I was saying, Twitter went into meltdown over the fact that Frank Lampard was rumoured to be on the shortlist for the Rangers job. Thank God that is now not the case. Martin Hand tweeting out Lampard out of the running. Chris Jack, Rangers will hold final stage interviews with managerial candidates next week. Frank Lampard will not be involved in the process. This is a massive positive for the club. I think possibly maybe the board have listened, or maybe they've actually realised that Frank Lampard is, in terms of management, absolutely garbage. In terms of his managerial career, he took Derby from 6th to 6th with probably one of the best squads in the Championship, and then lost the playoff final. Chelsea, he failed at Chelsea, finished 4th, but then next season when he was able to sign players, couldn't cope with those players, and Thomas Tuchel took the same team and won the Champions League with it. goes to Everton, nearly gets them relegated. Probably would have been relegated had Sean Dyche not come in and saved them. Then goes to Chelsea and has a 9% win ratio. Lampard's someone who gets jobs and gets interviews solely based on his playing career rather than on any management. So it's good news that he is no longer in the reckoning. He would have taken Rangers back even further than Michael Beale, in my opinion. Frank Lampard is not a manager. He just is not good enough. The candidates that seem to be being discussed at this moment in time, Philippe Clement, Kevin Muscat, and Kjetil Knutsen seem to be the three candidates that are primarily being discussed as possible future Rangers managers. I think, looking at what's coming out of the club, looking at what people on the inside, the insiders are saying it looks like it's between Muscat and Clement. Although, I could be wrong. That could all be just media speculation. I know a lot of fans want Knutsen. I personally don't get it. I think, yes, he did. Okay, yeah, fair enough. He took Bodo Glimt and he beat Celtic twice. But you know what? Beating Celtic in Europe is no great achievement. As we've seen this week, pretty much everybody does it. So it's nothing special. He manages a club in the Norwegian Farmers League. It's not a great league. It's weaker than the Scottish Premier League. It's a small club. I honestly think that Knutsen would be a very, very bad appointment for Rangers. I don't think he'd cut it, in British football. I don't think he'd cut it in Europe with Rangers. Like I said, just because he beat Celtic twice, that is not a great recommendation. And people say, well, he's taken Bodo Glimt to a small team and he's got them punching above their weight. Yes, but it's in the Norwegian league. If he was doing it in France, or he was doing it in Spain, or he was doing it in England, or he was doing it in Germany, then yeah, fair enough. You could say that he was an outstanding candidate. If he was taking a team like, say, Freiburg and getting them into the top four in the Bundesliga, or a team like Sochaux and getting them promoted from the second division and getting them into the top two in the French league, then yeah, fair enough. Or if he was taking, I don't know, someone like Sheffield Wednesday, who are massively underperforming at the moment in England, and getting them promoted back to the Premier League and getting them into the top four, then fair enough. But realistically, he would be a bad appointment for Rangers. He's not the man to take this club forward. Muscat is someone who is very much a Postecoglou type clone. Now, obviously, I know Rangers fans as a whole, we don't like Ange. But look, grudgingly, you've got to say the guy is a good coach. He's a good manager. He's proven that at Tottenham this season. Muscat plays a very similar style to him: high fullbacks, inverted wingers, very much an attacking form of football, progressive form of football, high press, high energy. Width, which both Clement and Muscat like to use width, which obviously could be an issue at Rangers given the fact that we have very few wingers, with obviously Matondo out injured, Seamer's possible to play out there, Scott Wright is hopeless. But there really is a lack of width in the team thanks to Michael Beale's awful recruitment this summer. So look, they would, I think, need January to bring in some wingers, and we all know that January is pretty much a dreadful window for attracting players. Muscat's won things in Australia, won things in Japan. Yes, he had a difficult poor spell in Belgium, but look, I think that's got to be sort of couched in those terms, that it was a club that was in trouble, and he was given pretty much a poison chalice there. He's done well with Yokohama. He's done well with Melbourne Victory. He's a good guy, a solid candidate for this job, and someone I think would get Rangers playing exciting, forward-thinking, progressive football again with a good high press, and a decent passing style. So, he's someone obviously to be thought of, and he's a guy as well who's played for the club. He won the treble this one season he was here. He understands what it is to play for Rangers. So, if you're looking for a Rangers man, Muscat's your man, really, I think. Clement obviously has had more success across the continent. Plays with width, plays a high press, plays a good passing style of football, a good progressive style of football, an attacking style of football, which obviously I think the club's fans are dying for. He's won trophies in Belgium. He's managed big clubs in Belgium, and the Belgian league is a hell of a lot stronger than the Norwegian league. It's a hell of a lot stronger than the Japanese league, the Australian league. Club Brugge, Genk are big teams in Belgium, and certainly teams that have had success in the Champions League. In terms of not obviously winning it or doing like semi-finals, I think, but certainly progressing above their level in that competition, which is something that Rangers do need to do. So, look, Clement is another one who is a potential superstar, a good manager. Realistically for me, either Muscat or Clement is probably the best appointments for this club moving forward. They play a good style of football. They play a high press. Yes, we'd need to address the width issue if we're not going to use some of the young players like McCausland, for example. that would have to be done in January, which obviously gives whoever's appointed a little bit of time to wait, and it's only now October. But sooner we get them in and embedding their philosophy to the team, the better. Over the international break would be a good point to appoint a manager. It gives them a couple of weeks where there's no games, with probably quite a few players who are staying here to sort them out and to get them to play. So it's going to be an appointment made soon, I think. And if it's Muscat or Clement, we have to get behind them. We support them, and we hope that they can turn this ocean liner that is heading for the rocks very, very quickly round and sort it out. It's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to just suddenly turn around overnight. It's going to take time, given the fact that Michael Beale has left us in a pretty dreadful state. Now, moving on to think about tomorrow's game against St Mirren. Personally, I'd love to see the young players given an opportunity to play. People say, well, Lovelace isn't ready, Rice isn't ready, McCausland isn't ready, but realistically, the question you've got to ask is, would they do it any worse than what this present team are doing? Would Lovelace be worse than Dessers? Would Rice be worse than Lundstrom? Would King be worse than Davis? And the answer's got to be no. What about the performances that you've seen over the last few weeks from Cyril Dessers, who, in my opinion, is one of the worst players ever to play football? Have given you any encouragement that they can turn this round, that they're any better than these young lads who at least would come in with some hunger, some fight, some passion, and a desire to try and keep the shirt. So, Zach Lovelace, for me, I would actually start him on Sunday. I don't think Davis will. I don't think Davis will have the balls or the courage to do it. I think, if I'm being honest with you, Davis will start pretty much the same team that let us down against Aris on Thursday night. I think we'll still see the old serial losers at the back of Tavernier, Goldson and Barisic. I still think we'll see Lundstrom in midfield, and I think it'll be another dire performance where we'll be lucky to get something. And if we do, you know what? Well, at the end of the day, that's what happens, isn't it? We will probably grind our way to a 1-0 or something, or a 2-1. But it isn't acceptable. That's not good enough for Rangers at the end of the day. I would love to see these young lads given an opportunity to play. I would absolutely rip that back four out completely. Tavernier, Goldson and Barisic need to be moved on from this club. They've let this club down so many times recently. And if they're still in place, when the new manager comes in, they'll get him sacked as well, as they've got every other manager sacked at this club. The issue is they've been great servants in the past, but they're not getting any younger. They're losing pace. They're losing their abilities. They're losing their talent. It happens when you get older. It's a natural thing. And yes, they've been great servants in the past, but now it's time to move on. It's time to throw out the trash and get in some new players who are going to change things around. And I think that's turning to the youth players. So my team tomorrow will be Jack Butland in goal. I think we should play Dujon Sterling at right back. Tavernier needs to be dropped. He needs dropping. He's been shocking. And look, I know the Tav fanboys and the people who love Tav, he gives us great numbers going forward. He scores goals and assists. Yes, but he's a bloody defender. He's paid to defend and he can't do it. So you don't play someone because they're good at attacking because they're a defender. It's like saying if you've got a goalkeeper that's good at taking free kicks but shocking in goal, well, let's keep playing him because he's good at taking free kicks. That's a ridiculous reason, Tavernier's got to be dropped for me. Butland made the captain. Tavernier is kind of symptomatic of our failure over recent seasons. He really is just getting worse. I would play Suter and King in central defence. I think Suter is a better player than Goldson. He's more defensively sound. Yes, he's made mistakes this year, but he's been playing left side centre back, which is not his natural position. Ridvan, if fit, I would play at left back over Borna Barisic, because just chucking balls into the box from deep is ineffective. It doesn't work. It's outdated, antiquarian, Jurassic football, and it needs to stop. Midfield, I would go with Lyle, I'd go with Rice, and I would go with Raskin. Raskin provides the experience. Bailey Rice is a quality player, and I think needs to play. And Lyle, well, let's face it, can Lyle and Rice do any worse than Lundstrom and Jack have done this season? And Cifuentes? Probably not. Let's give him a go. Up front, I would go with Seema, who I thought did very well the other night, was one of the only outfield players with pass marks. Kamar Roof and Zach Lovelace. Go with the front three that have got a chance of scoring goals. Don't play Dessers and Lammers. I mean, what about their performances this season have given you any hope that they can turn it round? Cyril Dessers is an absolute donkey. I mean, he is an absolute donkey. Personally, I would try and get rid of him in January. I mean, I'd start the bidding at a can of Red Bull and a Tic Tac. I really would. I mean, he is that bad. I mean, he is just genuinely one of the worst footballers I have ever seen in a Rangers shirt. And you know what? If you think Dessers is a good player, you clearly know zip about football, absolutely nothing about football. Well, that's my team. Let me know how you run a lineup tomorrow. I don't think that'll happen for 1 minute. I don't think Davis will have the courage to drop his mates. I think, we'll see a team of Tavernier, Goldson, Borna Barisic, Lundstrom, Dessers. I think we'll see all the old crap still out on the pitch, and I think we'll see another dire performance, if I'm being honest. That's just being honest. That's not being negative. That's being realistic. Stephen Davis is a good man. Get that, but he needs to have some courage. He needs to have some courage tomorrow and drop the crap that's been letting us down this season. Get rid of the serial losers. Get rid of those people that have let us down season upon season upon season. Tav's been captain now for years, and what's he won as captain? Nothing. 2 trophies. That's it. That's pathetic. Not good enough for a Rangers captain. Well, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, please smash the sub, ring the notification bell, and 2 things I need you to do. Number 1, smash the like, and number 2, remember, we are the people.